Hey, what's up? Got another bald video. I'm seeing a lot of videos trend that about people that are down in the rut. It'll be like how I woke up at such and such age, being a loser, or I never went anywhere in my life. It's like trendy to expose how much of a loser you are, right? And some of these videos pop off, and I've made videos in the past, but I'm gonna start riding this trend line a little bit because I got some experiences to talk about. I'm going to combine two of my life experiences into one because there were like two ruts. And I'm doing well now. Like, I can't really say I'm a loser or I don't have any money. Like, all my money has went into like assets, retirement, crypto stocks, old vintage things, buying and reselling collectibles. You know what I mean? Counter-Strike skins. It doesn't matter. I'm doing really well. My portfolios look good, but there were times when I was flat broke, and I was a loser. When I was 22, I moved back to my hometown. And I remember this is when I started drinking alone, like primarily, more so. That's when it started getting bad. Whoever knows me, they know I talk about sobriety, which I hit 3 years in August, which I have a video to release on my 3 years too. One of the first loves of my life, she was the first love of my life, really. We broke up, I moved back to my hometown, and when I first got back here, I had no money. I was flat broke. And at the time, I just didn't really think about money. I don't know, when you don't have money, it's just sort of normal to just get by. I was working part-time in retail, and I continued to do that. When I moved back here, I wasn't making much. I ended up saving a couple grand. This was years ago, so it's a good chunk of money. But I was making peanuts, and then I committed to labor later on. But how I got by, minimalist, I didn't really have anything. I didn't have any assets either back then. I didn't really care about investing or, portfolios or anything. I just didn't care about that stuff. That stuff really happened later on, especially during 2020. It changed my attitude against like currency and inflation and how your buying power of your money's going down. So I used to hold a lot of cash, and I don't do that anymore. I dump it into things I think will go up while the dollar value goes down, right? But going off on a tangent. But when I was 22, how I got out of that financial rut, I committed to labor, made a bit more money. Ended up saving a good chunk. And then a bad breakup occurred later on when I was about 32. I went flat broke down to $7 again. And during this whole time, I was off and on with drinking. I'd have my spurts of sobriety and, going 3 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, and constantly drinking again. I finally got completely sober 2022. Yeah, it's been 3 years. Best decision I've ever made. It's never gone. It's always a bit of a battle. It gets easier in time. But yeah, when I was 22, I don't know. I never really had much ambition like throughout school. I was in academics. I wasn't dumb. I procrastinated a lot. I didn't really care about school so much. And when I became a young adult, I was still quite young. Even though you feel like you're an adult, like you're getting older, you're really young. Once you're in your 30s, you realize when you were 20, 22, you're a freaking grown child, basically. I wish I would have realized that, but I think a lot of people that age, when they get older, they wish they realized that. It's like they say youth is wasted on the young. I never felt young back then, but I was. That's how a lot of people in their 20s feel. It's wild because you're so freaking young. Now I'm pushing 40. I'm 38. I'm old. And time just flies by. But, yeah, I lacked the motivation. I didn't want to commit to working like a lot of overtime. I did in labor then. And I did in the oil field, which that's another topic later on. I just lacked motivation. I've constantly been up and down with my weight, so that always, had its issues. Started drinking alone over a breakup a little bit. Then it was just partying, a lot of partying. You know, I had a core group of friends that drank a lot, they partied a lot, and I had a lot of fun, but it was a lot of wasted time. I could have committed more to financial gain back then, but people that do that wish they would have committed more to partying or living their life more, right? So, I mean, it's a balance there, it's a moderation, making up for it now, for better or for worse. So, started working labor to my late 20s. You know, did okay. Never really invested till I was about 33. 2020 is what really got my act together. And then it scared me when, you know, with inflation going up, because I was up to like 30 some grand in cash I had in my checking, and in a brokerage I was messing around a bit, and I just, with 2020 and all that, I started just dumping my money into physical assets, primarily like sealed product, old cards, retro games, stocks, crypto. And I don't hold a lot of cash anymore. I get paid, I distribute it as much as I can, and it's going well now. But anyways, at 32, I went through a horrible breakup with another girl. It was a terrible relationship. She ran me to zero. She lived off of me. She owes me thousands of dollars to this day. I'll never see it, which it's whatever. Learned a valuable lesson through that. It's molded me to be, it's molded my character for the better. I'm much more resilient. I've evaded a lot of red flags and, you know, dodged a lot of bullets because of that relationship. But it ran me down to 7. I mean, prior to this, I had, you know, up to $10,000. Like I said, I wasn't heavy into investing. Like now, I'm light years past the 30 grand, you know, in net worth, and that's great. I'm happy about. But money's not everything, okay? You have to. It's moderation. You have to remember, money's not everything. You can't let things you own you, right? You have to detach. I struggle with that sometimes, you know. But yeah, it was down to $7 in my account. I didn't really have many assets to just like sell off, so I had some help from family, and I paid them all back after I got into the oil field within like a month and a half, 2 months. Wasn't an absorbent amount of money, but I don't like debt. I don't like owing people. But that was rough, and I don't know what I was doing. I was out of work. I was applying around. I couldn't get anything, and then eventually my buddy got me into the oil field. I committed to that for 2.5, 3 years until COVID hit. Made decent money through overtime. And then in 2020, was laid off. You know, there was some of that stim money. Then I went back into labor in 2022, and now I'm currently in distribution. I make more money than I ever have now. But since 2020, it's just been distributing funds into any type of asset. Like, I dumped a lot of money into various things. I've made a lot of money in Counter-Strike skins. As of October of 2025, I've made thousands of dollars flipping skins. That market's just insane. A lot of items went up even higher than when I sold, but I mean, you can't time the market perfectly. Any profit's good profit, and that's a side hobby and like a side thing I do, and I make money off of it. But like, other than that, it's like my 401k, my own personal stocks and crypto brokerages, retro games, cards, silver, gold. I distribute it out. My car's paid off. That's an asset, even though it's a depreciating asset. I have no debt. My credit cards are paid off. I run 4 credit cards a month, and I pay them off, auto pay them every month. No debt. And I can access a lot of money very quickly within a few weeks if I ever have to. And I have a decent amount of cash on hand if I need it. In a decent 401k going, which is good. That's like a cushioner in case anything happens, right? And then I have 2 HSA accounts, a couple $1,000s there. So we're good now, buddy. But back when I was 32, I remember being down to $7 in my bank account, and I transferred to a new bank. Yeah, and I had to close the old one out. I mean, there was no money to really transfer, so it wasn't hard. Yeah, and I remember I was scrounging quarters up to buy Four Locos because I was still drinking at this time. That was 2017. Yeah, near the end of 2017, I ran out of cash. Then I went back and I went into the oil field in beginning of 2018. Thank God. And things just changed from there. But yeah, it went from about 10 grand in my checking down to 7 within a year. I was supporting an ex at the time, which I knew better. But, you know, don't ever try to fix somebody. They need to want to better themselves. Yeah, I remember drinking, and I didn't know what to do. You know, people in those situations, my heart goes out to them. I mean, it's tough. The thing is, when your back's against the wall, all you can do is fight your way out of it, right? That's the thing. That's the thing about being a human. Like, your survival instinct's always, like, key. It's always primed. Like, when I think back to those days, it's like, how did I get through it? You know, a lot of people must think that way when they think back to hard times. How did I get through that? It's like you have to, right? You have two choices. You give up or you go. You put one foot in front of the other and you keep going, right? And some people may be older than me. Some people may be younger than me going through hard times, thinking, you know, they're losers or it's the worst time of their life. And it very well could be. There's probably 50, 60-year-olds going through it. Hopefully mine were when I was younger and I'm past it. But it's not a good feeling, you know, making your minimum wage, not having money in your account, not having any assets. But it's weird because when I was in that situation, I didn't really think about it as much. I don't know, I didn't really care about having my finances super far up, you know? And now that I am where I am, I couldn't imagine going back, but could I get through it again? I would think so. You know, it's mindset. But you have to build upon it, you know? It's like my card collection. I remember when I started, I had what I had from my childhood. I was ordering singles, and it was such a small little box. And now I have boxes full and sealed product and thousands of cards, you know. It grows in years. It's not like it happens overnight, you know. If you're thinking to yourself, like, oh, if I only order 10 cards, I'm only going to have 10 cards. What's the point? Well, that 10 could turn into 50, 100, 100,000, right? Just like a day of progressing turns into a week, a month, 6 months, 6 months, a year. Time flies by, and if you stay consistent, everything will grow. It'll expand, right? You can't always be so minimalist where you're like, well, it's only that little. What's the point? I saw a quote earlier. A little of something is a lot more than a whole lot of nothing, right? And it's true. But I remember thinking that back when I was younger, like, oh, well, who cares about buying a few cards? That's such a small collection or one thing, you know? Well, the thing is, you have to be consistent and build it. Like, I got into silver, and I accrued a large position in silver and some gold backs. It took months, you know? It didn't just happen overnight. I have my spurts where I spend quite a bit of money on things, but it takes time. Like, when you see someone with a lot of wealth or a good collection, 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, it didn't happen overnight. They've accrued it over time. Like, a lot of things I've earned and invested into have happened since 2020, or I've had it from childhood, right? You know. But wow, we're at 14 minutes. I'm rambling on. But yeah, you have to start somewhere. And there was a quote I saw on, I think it's Hickok's channel. He's a gun enthusiast. It's like a Chinese proverb. It said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And that quote really rung true with me. It makes sense. You have to start now. And a lot of parts of my life, I've done true to that. I've started, you know, doing well in a lot of portions of my life, and there's still a lot I haven't done. I procrastinated on it, and I regret that. Like, there's a lot of things I can tell you about them, like learning piano. I have couple grand in midis sitting around, and I have programs to make music again. I used to make music when I was younger, when I was like 19 to 22, like electro music, trance. I got okay at it. I got downloads on Podomatic and different sites, you know. Could it have went anywhere? I don't know. Could have my YouTube went anywhere if I would have not fallen into oppression when I was 20, 22, you know, and stayed with it? I don't know. It's whatever. It is what it is. Could have streaming went somewhere if I would have actually played niche games and networked. I just never cared enough. Like I said, I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm a master of few, and I'm not 100% expert at anything. I got pretty good at acoustic guitar and electric guitar. I'm not a professional. But I really want to learn piano because I was learning a bit by ear and memory, and you gotta commit to it. And it's been years now where I ordered this stuff in 2021. Don't be like me and just let it sit. Now, like I said, I'm 0 or 100. Like, I have a very addictive personality, so when I dive into something, it's like I can get very obsessed with it, right? And then I can become very proficient with it. Like, you talk to me about any type of collectible market, crypto, stocks, Counter-Strike market. I memorize almost everything, you know? But I have such a vested interest in it. And piano's difficult, so, like, I don't know. It's just, that's one of my big regrets. I need to just slap myself in the butt and commit some time to it, whether it be 20 minutes a week or 20 minutes a day or, you know, a little bit here and there. But yeah, I'm sure we all do this, you know what I mean? But that's part of being human. We're flawed. And then there's other things where I go ham into it, like I've been making good money off Counter-Strike and flipping skins and doing that. I'm very efficient at that, but like that's an obsession too, right? But yeah, I don't know. These videos I see people really, they're firm in their belief that they're a loser, but the thing is, most average people are. We live an average life. We work, we come home, we eat, we sleep, we have some interests, you know. You don't have to live in an exaggerated, you know, amazing life. I know social media makes it much harder because you see like the less than 1% flaunting and people lying and AI, and it's tough, man. It makes me depressed. It shortens my attention span. I really feel for the younger generations coming up. Man, their ADHD, depression's going to be otherworldly, you know what I mean? Let's get some water in us. But yeah, at the end of the day, money's not everything. And don't let it make you feel less than. You know? What matters is you, your character, the love you can bring to the world, whether you can all the time or not. Like, I'm half and half. Like, I'm very omnivert. I keep to myself a lot. I can socialize a lot. But deep down, there's bad sides of me and there's good sides of me, you know? Sometimes I have the energy to do stuff. Sometimes I'm lazy, you know? If I had the 24/7 workaholic attitude, I'd probably be very, very rich. But half of me works to live. You know, I'm okay. I'm well off. I'm comfortable. And I like to spend my time doing absolutely nothing sometimes. And that's our God-given right to do so, right? But yeah, am I still a loser? If you compare me to a multimillionaire, sure. If you compare me to the average person, no. I'm well past the average wealth, net worth-wise and everything. So it's all in where you compare yourself. If I compare myself to people locally here in the suburbs, probably top 5%. Take me to the city or a wealthy area, can't compete. You know what? It's all in relativity. But always remember, money's not everything. Can help with a lot. Take it easy.